Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now this game was supposed to be a massive hit. I mean, it's Star Wars. And a sequel to the beloved Jedi Fallen Order? Come on, how could it not succeed? But somehow, Jedi Survivor stumbled right out of the gate. The problem? A launch messier than a droid trying to cook bantha steaks. Bugs, frame rate issues, and crashes, especially on PC, left players feeling like they'd signed up for the Empire's beta testing division. But here's the kicker. Once the technical issues got patched up, this game turned out to be nothing short of incredible. The combat system received a major overhaul with the addition of new lightsaber stances, allowing for unprecedented customization. Whether you want to dual-wield sabers for a flurry of strikes, go full Darth Maul mode with a double-bladed lightsaber, or mix things up by pairing blasters with sabers, the game accommodates your style, and every option feels fluid and exhilarating. It's like being handed the keys to the Jedi arsenal and told, have at it. And the planets? Oh boy. They're not just bigger, they're richer and meticulously crafted, with secrets tucked away in every corner. It's as though the developers took the Metroidvania, exploration elements from the first game, sprinkled in a generous dose of intergalactic magic, and unleashed a galaxy of wonders for players to uncover. There's something intoxicating about revisiting areas with newly unlocked abilities to discover hidden pathways and treasures. Each planet feels alive, with breathtaking vistas, dynamic weather systems, and ecosystems teeming with lore and mystery. Now, the story pacing did raise a few eyebrows. Admittedly, it takes a slower, more introspective approach compared to its predecessor, diving deep into Cal Kestis's inner struggles as he grapples with his role in a post-Order 66 galaxy. But that's precisely where the game's heart lies. It doesn't rush you through. It gives you time to sit with Cal's emotions, to feel his conflicts, and to understand the heavy burden of being a Jedi in hiding. The quieter moments, those little conversations with your crewmates, or the reflective moments gazing at a starry horizon, add a layer of emotional depth that's rare in action-adventure games. Visually, the game is a masterpiece. From lush forests to desolate wastelands, every environment is a feast for the eyes. The detail in the architecture, the lifelike animations, and the dynamic lighting create an atmosphere that's impossible to resist. And let's not forget the music, which perfectly captures the epic, emotional, and adventurous tones of the Star Wars universe. If you haven't given it a second chance, now is the perfect time to return to a galaxy far, far away. Jedi Survivor has evolved into the masterpiece it was meant to be, a shining beacon in the Star Wars gaming saga that rewards players with rich storytelling, immersive exploration, and exhilarating combat. Guardians of the Galaxy. This game's journey is a bit like Star-Lord himself, underestimated, misunderstood, but secretly awesome. Coming off the colossal disappointment that was Marvel's Avengers, fans weren't exactly rushing to pre-order this one. And honestly, it's easy to see why. People thought, here we go again, lumping it in with a game that had more microtransactions than actual gameplay. But surprise! This was a purely single-player, story-driven gem with zero live service nonsense. Sure, the characters didn't look or sound like their MCU counterparts, which threw some fans off initially. Star-Lord wasn't voiced by Chris Pratt, Gamora wasn't Zoe Saldana, and Drax's laugh didn't have quite the same resonance. But honestly, once you got past that, the game proved itself to be something unique and wonderful. You'd find a hilarious, heartfelt story where the Guardians' camaraderie takes center stage. The writing was sharp, packed with humor and emotional moments, and the interactions between the crew were so natural that it felt like sitting in on a dysfunctional family road trip through space. The banter? Chef's kiss. It's the kind of dialogue that had you grinning during the quiet moments and laughing out loud during the chaotic ones. Every quip, argument, and heartfelt admission added depth to the characters, making them feel more relatable than ever before. Combat, admittedly, was a bit chaotic at first. You're controlling Star-Lord while issuing commands to the rest of the team, which can feel overwhelming initially. But once you mastered the system, it became deeply satisfying. Strategically timing Gamora's powerful attacks, Drax's tanky brawls, Rocket's explosive barrages, and Groot's defensive maneuvers turned battles into dynamic puzzles. And then there's the huddle mechanic, where you rally the team mid-fight with an inspirational or hilariously off-target speech to boost their morale. It's goofy, it's fun, and it's just so Guardians. Toss in a killer soundtrack featuring hits from the 1980s that perfectly accompany both battles and downtime, and you've got a game that oozes charm from every pixel. Then there are the emotional beats. The story doesn't shy away from tackling heavy themes like loss, redemption, and the weight of responsibility. These moments hit hard, especially when layered with the Guardians' backstories. Whether it's Rocket's traumatic past or Star-Lord's complicated memories of his mom, the game finds ways to tug at your heartstrings while keeping things light enough to stay enjoyable. All of this combines to create an experience that feels far more than the sum of its parts, an epic, heartfelt journey that deserved way more love than it got at launch. If you're a fan of horror games, you might have heard of The Evil Within 2. This game took everything its predecessor did and dialed it up to 11, delivering an unsettling blend of survival horror and psychological terror. So why did it flop? Well, it released during a time when horror games were losing their spotlight to big action blockbusters, and its marketing didn't quite scream "buy me" to casual players. But if you're into spine-chilling atmospheres and twisted narratives, The Evil Within 2 is an absolute gem that deserves way more recognition. The semi-open world sections aren't just there for exploration, they're masterfully designed to build a suffocating sense of dread. As you traverse through eerie neighborhoods and decrepit buildings, every shadow and faint sound keeps you on edge, creating a constant tension that's rare in modern horror games. You're not just walking through a map, you're descending deeper into the twisted mind of the game's world. The story, centered on a father's desperate search for his daughter, hits an emotional and horrifying balance that's hard to achieve. Sebastian Castellanos is a deeply flawed protagonist, and his struggles with guilt and determination make his journey incredibly compelling. This isn't just about rescuing his daughter, it's about redemption and facing the nightmarish manifestations of his own mind. The psychological depth is layered with grotesque imagery and creative monster designs, each representing something more sinister than just a scary enemy to fight. Speaking of combat, the game expertly mixes resource management and strategic encounters. Ammo is scarce, forcing you to think carefully about every bullet. Do you fight or sneak? Do you craft or conserve? These choices keep you engaged and stressed in the best way possible. The jump scares are there, but they're balanced with a creeping dread that makes even the quiet moments terrifying. And then there are the boss battles, each one a grotesque, memorable spectacle that tests your nerves as much as your skills. For horror fans, this one's an unmissable treasure. It's a game that doesn't just scare you, it makes you think, feel, and stay up all night questioning your life choices. It's a masterpiece of survival horror that deserves a place among the genre's greats. Rage 2. If Mad Max and Neon Paint had a baby, it would be Rage 2. This game promised over-the-top action, chaotic combat, and a colorful apocalyptic world. But at launch, people were left scratching their heads. The world felt oddly empty, the story wasn't exactly Pulitzer material, and it seemed like the marketing hype outshone the game itself. But if you set aside the story, which, let's face it, is just there to give you an excuse to blow stuff up, Rage 2 is an absolute blast. The combat is fast, frenetic, and ridiculously fun, bringing a level of chaos that few games manage to capture so well. Whether you're barreling through enemies with explosive shotgun blasts or using gravity-defying abilities to send foes flying, the gameplay thrives on its dynamic and over-the-top nature. Every fight feels like an adrenaline rush as you chain together powerful attacks with crazy weapons that are as inventive as they are destructive. And let's talk about those weapons. From electrified boomerangs to energy weapons that disintegrate enemies, Rage 2 doesn't hold back when it comes to delivering tools of destruction. Pair these with the game's suite of insane powers, like slamming enemies into the ground or hurling them across the map with a shockwave, and the combat becomes a playground for chaos. The level of creativity allowed in battles makes it endlessly entertaining. The game's vibrant, post-apocalyptic world, while sparse in some areas, has its own unique charm. Brightly colored graffiti-covered ruins and neon-lit outposts contrast sharply with the desolate wastelands, creating an aesthetic that feels fresh for the genre. And while the story might not leave a lasting impression, the side activities, whether it's hunting down convoys, clearing bandit camps, or participating in high-octane races, add plenty of opportunities to immerse yourself in this wild, lawless world. So if you're looking for mindless, adrenaline-fueled fun, Rage 2 is a sleeper hit, waiting to be rediscovered. It's a game that unapologetically leans into its chaotic nature, offering players a cathartic, action-packed experience that's hard to put down once the carnage begins. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Lara Croft, gaming's leading lady, somehow ended up flying under the radar with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The rebooted trilogy was strong, but by the time this entry dropped, it got lost in the shuffle of AAA releases. Critics complained it didn't innovate enough, but honestly, if it ain't broke, why fix it? This game took everything great about its predecessors and refined it into a polished and deeply engaging experience. The exploration and puzzle solving were absolutely top-notch, offering some of the most intricate and rewarding tombs in the entire series. These tombs weren't just beautiful, they were brimming with clever puzzles that required patience, critical thinking, and a keen eye for detail. Each one felt like an achievement, and solving them delivered a satisfying sense of accomplishment that few other adventure games can rival. Combat in Shadow of the Tomb Raider leaned heavily into stealth, making you feel like a true jungle predator. Lara Croft wasn't just a treasure hunter here. She became the apex predator of the jungle. Whether you're camouflaging yourself with mud to blend into your surroundings or taking down enemies from the shadows with precision and creativity, the game made you feel powerful and strategic. There was something deeply gratifying about methodically clearing out an area of enemies without ever being seen. Adding to the experience is the breathtaking world design. The game's environments are lush, vibrant, and meticulously detailed, from dense, sprawling jungles to ancient ruins teeming with history. Every location feels alive, full of hidden secrets and treasures that reward curiosity and exploration. The rich atmosphere immerses players in Lara's journey, making every step feel like an adventure in itself. The visuals are so stunning that even the quiet moments, when you're simply admiring the scenery or listening to ambient sounds, are memorable. Sure, it's not revolutionary in the sense of introducing groundbreaking new mechanics, but it doesn't need to be. Instead, Shadow of the Tomb Raider perfects the formula established by its predecessors, offering one of the most polished and satisfying entries in the series. For fans of exploration, stealth, and emotionally resonant storytelling, this game remains an underrated gem that deserves far more recognition. Prey. And Prey is the game that asks, what if everything in this room wanted to kill you? When it launched, it was met with confusion, partly because fans of the original Prey were expecting a sequel, not a completely reimagined game. But if you put aside the naming drama, Prey is one of the best immersive sims out there. The setting? A space station overrun by alien creatures that can mimic everyday objects. That coffee cup? Not safe. And that's just the beginning of the paranoia-fueled brilliance of Prey. The game takes the concept of an immersive sim to extraordinary heights, with its meticulously designed environments and endless possibilities for creative gameplay. Arcane Studios crafted a world so rich with detail and interconnected elements that it feels like every decision you make reshapes the experience. Whether you're sneaking through corridors, hacking terminals, or going in guns blazing, there's no wrong way to play. The Mimics, the game's signature enemies, are nothing short of terrifying. Their ability to disguise themselves as everyday objects turns every room into a potential death trap. Is that chair just a chair? Or is it waiting to pounce on you? This constant sense of unease keeps you on edge and forces you to approach every situation with caution and ingenuity. And let's not forget the Neuromod system, which allows you to augment your abilities with both human and alien skills. Whether you're upgrading your hacking prowess, developing telekinetic powers, or, yes, turning into a coffee cup to sneak past enemies, the game lets you experiment in ways that feel uniquely empowering. The level design? Insane in the best way possible. Talos 1, the space station where the game takes place, is a marvel of world building. It's a sprawling, interconnected labyrinth full of hidden pathways, locked doors, and environmental storytelling that rewards exploration at every turn. From luxurious executive suites to grimy maintenance shafts, each area is packed with secrets and opportunities to approach challenges from multiple angles. It's a game that practically begs you to look closer and think outside the box. While it didn't get the attention it deserved at launch, has since earned a devoted cult following for its creativity, tension-filled gameplay, and boundless replayability. It's a shining example of how games can blend narrative, mechanics, and atmosphere to create an experience that's as intellectually stimulating as it is thrilling. If you haven't explored the depths of Talos yet, it's time to suit up and see what you've been missing. Nier Automata. At first glance, Nier Automata looks like your typical action RPG, but once you dive in, it becomes clear this game is operating on another level. Existential robots? Check. Mind-bending plot twists? Double check. Multiple endings that make you question everything? You better believe it. The problem? It was a niche game with an equally niche predecessor. Not to mention, asking players to replay sections for the full story scared some folks off. But the payoff? Oh, it's worth it. Nier Automata delivers one of the most emotionally charged, philosophically rich gaming experiences ever made, one that stays with you long after the credits roll. The game doesn't just tell a story, it questions the very nature of storytelling, life, and existence. Themes like free will, sacrifice, and the search for meaning permeate every corner of this masterpiece, creating a narrative that's as thought-provoking as it is heart-wrenching. The combat, courtesy of Platinum Games, is buttery smooth and seamlessly combines high-octane action with nuanced strategy. Whether you're slicing through enemies in fast-paced melee skirmishes or dodging a barrage of projectiles in bullet hell sequences, every moment feels incredibly polished. The variety in gameplay keeps you engaged, and the transitions between combat styles are so fluid that it feels like a work of art in motion. And let's not forget the game's multiple endings. While some games boast branching paths, Nier Automata takes it to the next level. To fully understand the story, you're encouraged, no, compelled, to replay the game multiple times. But each playthrough adds new layers, perspectives, and revelations, turning what could feel repetitive into a deeply enriching experience. By the end, you're not just playing a game, you're part of an emotional journey that few other titles can rival. Automata serves to immerse you further into its world. The characters, especially protagonists 2B, 9S, and A2, are multidimensional and complex, their arcs filled with moments of joy, despair, and self-discovery. If you're into quirky, thought-provoking games that challenge conventions and deliver a profoundly unique experience, this one's not just a masterpiece. It's a genre-defining achievement. Titanfall 2. Let's talk about Titanfall 2, a game that had everything going for it but somehow managed to stumble in the spotlight. Released in 2016, this sci-fi first-person shooter delivered one of the best single-player campaigns in the genre, not to mention insanely fun multiplayer. The problem? It got sandwiched between Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1 during release, effectively dooming it to be overlooked by most gamers. What makes Titanfall 2 so special? The campaign is an absolute masterpiece, combining innovative level design, emotional storytelling, and slick gameplay. The bond between pilot Jack Cooper and his Titan, BT-7274, is surprisingly heartwarming. Plus, levels like Effect and Cause, where you manipulate time to solve puzzles and fight enemies, are pure genius. And then there's the multiplayer, which takes everything great about fast-paced shooters and cranks it up with wall running, jetpacks, and giant mechs. The combat is fluid and incredibly satisfying, with a level of verticality that's hard to find in other games. Despite its critical acclaim, Titanfall 2 struggled to find an audience at launch, but it's since become a cult classic. If you missed it the first time around, now's the perfect time to jump in. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. Although the Dishonored series has always been critically acclaimed, Death of the Outsider seemed to slip under the radar. Maybe it was because it's more of a standalone expansion than a full sequel, or maybe people were just moving on to newer titles. Either way, this game deserved way more attention than it got. Playing as Billy Lurk, you explore a beautifully crafted world, teeming with intrigue, danger, and supernatural powers. Billy's story is one of redemption and resolve, as she seeks to take down the enigmatic Outsider, a mysterious godlike figure who has been a central force throughout the Dishonored series. This fresh perspective breathes new life into the narrative, providing players with a unique vantage point and a character whose personal stakes resonate deeply. Billy's abilities, like the Displace power that lets her teleport to a marked location, and the Foresight ability, which allows her to scout ahead, make gameplay both tactical and endlessly engaging. The stealth mechanics, a hallmark of the Dishonored series, are as satisfying as ever. Whether you're sneaking through dimly lit alleyways, disabling security systems, or silently eliminating foes, every action feels precise and rewarding. What's more, the game encourages creativity, letting you mix and match tools and powers to approach challenges in your own style. Want to slip past undetected? Go for it. Prefer to take out enemies one by one with surgical precision? That's just as viable. The freedom to choose makes every encounter feel personal and tailored. The level design in Death of the Outsider represents some of Arcane's best work. The environments are intricate and layered, packed with hidden paths, secret rooms, and alternative routes that reward exploration. From shadowy backstreets to grand crumbling mansions, Each location tells its own story through subtle environmental detail. Every objective can be approached in multiple ways, ensuring that no two playthroughs feel the same. It's a masterclass in giving players meaningful choices while maintaining a cohesive and immersive world. Then there's the story, which is both deeply personal and steeped in the larger lore of the Dishonored universe. Billy's quest to confront the outsider isn't just about eliminating a powerful being. It's about challenging the very nature of morality and the role of divinity in shaping human lives. This narrative depth adds a layer of philosophical intrigue that elevates the game beyond a simple revenge tale. For fans of stealth games with a touch of magic, Death of the Outsider is an absolute must-play. It's a beautifully crafted adventure that combines tight gameplay, stunning visuals, and a story that lingers long after the credits roll. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Oh, Shadow of War. You had so much going for you, but then you had to go and add microtransactions. Fans were furious, and rightfully so. A single-player game with loot boxes? Come on. Thankfully, Warner Bros. Eventually removed them, but the damage to the game's reputation had already been done. Which is a shame, because beneath the controversy lies a truly fantastic game that delivers on so many levels. The Nemesis system, a groundbreaking mechanic where orcs remember your actions, hold grudges, and even rise through their own ranks, remains one of the most innovative features in gaming. No two players' experiences are ever quite the same, as the dynamic orc rivalries make each playthrough feel personal and alive. Orcs you've defeated can return scarred and vengeful, while others will challenge you with unexpected alliances or betrayals. It's a system that makes the world of Shadow of War feel like it's truly reacting to your every move. The expanded world takes the immersive factor up a notch, offering more diverse and richly detailed environments than its predecessor. From lush forests to scorched battlefields, each region feels distinct and teeming with life. The fortress sieges, a standout addition to the game, add an epic sense of scale and strategy as you gather allies, build your army, and plan the perfect assault. These battles are more than just chaotic melees. They're grand, multi-layered affairs where your tactics and preparation can mean the difference between victory and utter defeat. And let's talk about the combat. It's as satisfying as ever, if not more so. The fluidity of movement, the satisfying crunch of blade on enemy, and the sheer variety of abilities at your disposal make every encounter thrilling. Whether you're stealthily dispatching enemies from the shadows, raining down arrows from a distance, or diving headfirst into a mob of orcs with a flurry of devastating attacks, the game constantly rewards your creativity and skill. Despite its rocky launch and controversial monetization strategy, which understandably turned many players away, the game has since been updated to remove the offending microtransactions. The changes have allowed the core experience to shine through, revealing a game that's brimming with depth, excitement, and endless replayability. If you skipped it because of the bad press, now's the perfect time to give Shadow of War another chance. What lies beneath the controversy is a masterpiece of dynamic storytelling, intense action, and a world that feels uniquely your own. Take a chance on these underrated games. They're full of great stories and gameplay. If we missed one, let us know.